on 105.5 Hits FM, North Durham's hit music station. It's Angela here with you in the morning. I am joined this morning by a special guest. Here in the studio, we have Krista Pollack. She is an equestrian. She is a coach. I'm excited to have you in our studio today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We have a lot to talk about. You have a very interesting story, and I know you call it a true underdog tale. Can you tell us your story and tell us why that is?
Well, I think when we think of success, we think of people at the end of the pentacle, their highest point, whether it be sports or corporations. And we define that as success, but we very often don't get to see the behind the scenes success.
The work
that goes, and the ups and the downs. And so for some people, it's a little bit easier than others. Our story, I say it's an underdog story because if we look at the horse, Heidi Im Gluck, she was a horse that was for sale for a long time. Nobody wanted her. She was small, she was a hot, sensitive mare, and she had crooked legs. So nobody thought this horse would stand up to the rigorous training that would be needed to get her to where we wanted to go. Myself, I'm a rider who's had 12 concussions. And when I was younger, I had an accident that left, I was paralyzed in the arms and there was bleeding in the brain. And I was told by two separate neurosurgeons on different occasions that I had to stop riding. I couldn't sustain any more injuries. And then the facility we train out of that I took over and brought back was a facility that had the worst case of animal abuse and neglect in our area. So when you look at those three elements, there's nothing about that says, hey, this is going to be anything. And yet we've overcome with resilience and determination, and we've just kind of kept going. And now here we are.
So crazy. So how did you decide to keep riding even after these neurosurgeons told you not to?
Well, I think when you're dealing with your passion, I always say it's a fine line between stupidity and dedication.
Yeah.
And I can't always say I can honestly tell you the difference some days. It's just I grew up horse crazy. I didn't grow up in a horse family per se, but just a very strong passion. And I just couldn't imagine my life without horses.
Have you been fine since in terms of riding? You haven't had any symptoms of those concussions?
No, I mean, there'll be small triggers here and there, and I'm very careful nowadays what I get on. I can't take more of an unnecessary risk than needed. But, I mean, there's a risk in life, so I can't. I don't want to live my life.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to live my life that way. I mean,
out of fear.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen anywhere in a car accident, and you just do the best you can.
And I feel like a huge part of what makes you comfortable riding is the trust you've built with your horse. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, with Heidi Im Gluck, I have to say we've gone through the whole emotion of a spectrum. So when she came to me, she was a very shut-off horse, very angry. And our first year was very difficult. She didn't want to work with me. She made it very clear. She was difficult for my groom to help get ready. And it just took a lot of patience and just waiting for her. So because I broke through that barrier with her and we've developed together, we really have gone that full range of spectrum of emotions. And now I have a true partnership with her. And she loves to compete now. So from a horse that was shut off to a horse that wants to be there, and you can feel her grow and turn it on, that's an amazing feeling. I couldn't imagine being in that state of mind for her. So...
How did you first see that potential in her to compete? Because you said
I didn't.
Okay.
No, we just, I always tell my clients, I won't make you any false promises, but I won't make any I'm not going to make any guarantees, but I'm not going to write the horse off. So I always just say, you just have to go down the road. And that's kind of like life. You just have to sometimes go down the road and see where it takes you. And I just never gave up on her.
When did you first see that spark where you were training with her and you're like, oh, this horse could be amazing?
I think once the partnership developed, that's when the horse will really try for you and they become that partner. So that's, if you can train them and they want to be there, she offers it. So I'm very careful when I'm working with her and managing her to never cross that line and take advantage of what she wants to offer me. So I'm very respectful of those boundaries too with her. And it just keeps developing and she keeps surprising me.
Can you talk a little bit about your goals with Heidi? Because that's a huge reason that you're here. You're in the midst of training and working. Can you talk about what you're striving for?
Well, with Heidi, we're very fortunate. We're going to have the opportunity to go down to Florida and train and compete there. So here in Canada, we don't really have the venues and that she will come experience. So we have to go down there. We have to get the mileage down there and have the opportunity to train even with some American riders. And so that's our next goal, with aims of trying to get a spot on the Pan Am team. We'll see how that goes. And then the following year is an Olympic year, and we'll go back down and, just keep chipping away at it.
That's amazing. So what kind of events do you compete in? Because I know there's so many events with horses.
So we compete in the sport of dressage. So that's kind of what people say, it's dancing with the horses. And so for most people, they kind of associate it with jumping or racing. So it's a little bit hard to understand the sport. But it is growing in popularity. And so we're very fortunate, I guess, in this time frame that it is developing and becoming more spectator friendly.
Yeah. Is there a way we can watch your journey and see any behind the scenes clips of training or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm doing better. I'm getting caught up to speed with social media. So I do post on our Facebook, and my guys are training me to be better and post on our Instagram account. Definitely when we head down, we're going to be sharing our journey with people. And that way they can hopefully cheer her on and kind of root for that underdog who, that story that, we shouldn't be there, but we are.
Yeah, it's so compelling. Okay, what's your Instagram? Do you have it yet? Or
Yeah, it's okay. Krista Pollack.
Krista Pollack.
KP Dressage. And then it's the same for my Facebook, Krista Pollack.
I'll be sharing that for anyone who would like to follow, because I'm very intrigued. I love a good underdog story, and hearing both your story and your horses, it just seems like you guys were meant for each other almost. Like you guys both maybe have been underestimated a little bit, told you couldn't do it a little bit, and now look at you.
And you know what? For me as a rider, I've always had that because I never unfortunately had the financial backing to have the fancy horses. We've always had to make our horses. And part of me now feels with Heidi, at the last competition, soon as her hair was done and the jacket went on, she just puffed up and she started banging on her door. She wanted out and she just marched to that ring.
Aww,
so she's becoming quite, I think out of both of us, I think she's the one that's becoming the huge, taking over, here we go. And so that's why, we'd love to share our story with people. We have the GoFundMe page to help offset some of the costs because it is extremely expensive to go down there and leave my clients and my business and my family at home. But there's no other way to do this journey. It's just time.
It's a passion.
It's a total passion. There's been a lot of days in the cold arenas here in Canada. So I think it's time to go down and see how she does.
So when are you going to Florida?
We leave after Christmas. And then I think the horses come back in around April. So we'll get a lot of show mileage down there in that time. And I'm really utilizing every moment down there to learn.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to you when you get back in.
I would love
April.
that.
That would be awesome. I'd love an update. How's everything going? How's the training? Krista Pollack, thank you for taking time to talk with us this morning about your life as an equestrian and a coach.
Thank you for having me.